Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Starsector. Today, I wanted to make a little guide because someone asked in the comments, how have I built this Eradicator? Can I provide any advice on what guns to pick and how they're used? So we'll give it a try. I've been using this Eradicator fit for most of the Ludic Path run to pretty good success, I would say. So let's jump right in. This is a regular Eradicator, so it has accelerated ammo feeder, which provides flux reduction, booster rate of fire of all your ballistic weapons. And of course those two things synergize. Our guns cost less flux, and they do additional firing. So here we go, here's the stats. 100% fire rate, and 50% less flux. So it is fairly straightforward in terms of mechanics. It basically just means that you do about double the fire rate of normal for the same cost as you would firing normally in terms of flux buildup. And active duration 5 seconds, cooldown 10, delay on reuse, all of that. You can modify how often you fire off accelerated ammo feeder by taking systems expertise, or an additional 33% less cooldown. As for captain skills, I'm not actually built to optimally drive the Eradicator, so don't worry about it too much. You don't need to be hyper optimal either, but I do recommend ballistic mastery because you got a lot of guns on this thing, and systems expertise for the aforementioned cooldown on ammo feeder, and maybe helmsmanship for maneuverability, maybe targeting analysis for even more damage. Everything else is kind of to taste. So that's the ship system. Hull mods. Safety overrides is of course mandatory for this build. We're going to go really fast, we're going to do a lot of damage, and we're going to have very short range and relatively short uptime. But as long as you fight efficiently, the shorter uptime will not matter. You will be able to do probably even more damage in a short span, assuming nothing goes wrong, than if you were not safety overridden. Long ago in this run, I S-modded in missile racks and blast doors on all of the Eradicators. This was back when I was taking a lot more losses regularly. These are not the S-mods I would pick now, but they're not terrible choices. Definitely, if you're not playing Iron Man and you're not struggling, ditch the blast doors and maybe S-mod something else, like automated repair unit, or perhaps expanded magazines to make everything shoot faster, depending on what guns you're using exactly. But this will work for the early game and mid game. So, weapons. Our most important weapons are the 2 heavy machine guns. I know they say point defense, but you can use them to shoot shields. They are some of the most efficient guns you can equip in a ballistic medium slot in terms of how much value per second of shield pressure they get you. With a flux to damage ratio of 0.38, as far as I'm aware, they're basically unmatched in terms of vanilla kinetic pressure at extremely short range. Their range is locked to 450, but that synergizes nicely with safety overrides, which drastically reduces weapon ranges that are beyond 450 units. So, those are our primary shield pressures. Our other thing for kinetic shield pressure is all of the light dual machine guns in the small slots, which double as point defense, and as shield pressure once we get in close enough. Range 300, so you kind of want to get in close, but flux to damage ratio of 0.12 makes them pretty dang good in their listed range. For armor busting, we have a single assault chain gun, so high explosive, 450 range, decent flux to damage ratio of 0.8. That's really all that needs to be said there, I think. Our burst damage option, keeping in the Ludic Pather theme, is the Hammer class torpedo. You get 2 of these per small slot, or 2 hammers per small slot, doubled by expanded missile racks for a total of 4 hammers per slot. So 4 times 5, we have 20 hammers at our disposal, which means we have about 30,000 burst damage maximally available to throw down lane at whatever needs to die very quickly. The thing with hammers is they are high explosive, so you don't want to throw them into your enemy's shields if you can help it. But in a pinch, if you really need something to die quite quickly, you might do that anyway. Really depends on the situation, how many missiles you have remaining, how many opponents that are left, that kind of thing. I try and always hold back at least a couple hammers in case I need them later, unless I'm sure that I've taken down all of the large targets in a given battle. So that's all of the guns. That's my thoughts on hull mods. Basically, all of my ships are set up this way. Oh, there is one more thing. If you're going to put an officer in one of these Eradicators, they need to have either reckless or aggressive personality. So what that will do is on aggressive or reckless, an officer will attempt to close their ship in and attack with all of their weapons. So in order for the heavy machine guns, which are tagged point defense, to be used offensively, you need to have an aggressive or reckless officer. If you put a steady, cautious, or timid officer in one of these things, it will do nothing and it will just get blasted. This is not a Eradicator build that you can use with a steady officer. So make sure you're putting officers in that are aggressive if you're going to build a bunch of these like I have here. If you don't have officers that you can put in, you're going to want to go over to the command screen, the button down at the bottom here, or the D key on the keyboard. Go over to the Doctrine and Blueprint section and go to this aggression meter. So this changes how your unofficered ships will operate, as far as I'm aware. And it's worked pretty well for me so far. So, personality type of ship captains affects officers for the fleet created by your faction, as well as ships without officers, including the ones in your fleet. It's right there in the tooltip. So, by putting this on the 4th pip, our unofficered ships are going to be piloted by a mix of aggressive and reckless AI, making sure that our Eradicators, even if they don't have an officer, will attempt to optimally use all of their guns on targets. And that is basically the talking portion of the tutorial. Let's go shoot something in the simulator. So the first question is, of course, can we go grab like a hegemony or independent? Which tab would they be under? An enemy Eradicator of some kind. So there we go. Let's take that Eradicator. And can we fight an enemy Eradicator? And for weapon groups, I normally just have everything on auto fire. I don't tend to try and be too optimal with that. So this is the default outdated fit Eradicator, which, as you can see, is pretty effective. But with proper shield management, we can close in. Just want to make sure to turn on our shield to block his hammers. Now here, our opponent's flux has gotten high, and if we'd gotten hit by hammers, we might be in trouble. But since we won the initial volley, it is now our turn to try and throw a bunch of hammers at him. Even if you miss a few hammers, that's okay. The main usage of them is to strip away your opponent's armor and do a burst of damage. Now that his armor is gone, all of our guns are going to be doing better. Or if we were going to throw more hammers, boop, that might be enough. Ooh, he blocked one. There we go. And of course, you're going to win the mirror against an enemy ship that has no captain skills, right? But that was just a firing test. So what if we were to give them a max level officer and some S mods? How do we do? So our opponent should be tougher now. Oh yeah, level 5 officer. And his ship has expanded missile racks and targeting unit. So in this kind of situation, we know he's a bit more dangerous, but look how he throws out his hammers so wastefully. At a range where we, with proper strafing, can actually just dodge them all because we're quite quick, quite maneuverable when safety overridden. So my plan here is to bait out all his hammers. Now if we zoom in, we can see his little tubes there. Editor Ducky, zoom in on that guy. He just has one red pip on each of them, so I think he has one more wave of hammers left. We'll see. We can probably... Oh yeah, there they are, there they are. We'll take some of those on the shield, that's fine. So now when we look at him, you'll note he has no hammers in the tubes. So unless he has missile autoloader or some other shenanigans, the answer is no. He's now out of hammers, and we have a full complement of hammers. I heard him use his accelerated ammo feeder. His guns are glowing yellow, but now they're not. So it's also good to try and bait out his ammo feeder, if we can. We'll close in, use the shield. Let that get us in range. We'll ammo feeder, and we will just tank with our armor for a second, and then throw our shield up when he uses his own ammo feeder. And I pause here because it's hard to narrate and time everything appropriately. So now that we're both very fluxed out, it's a matter of who can do burst damage. And we know that he's out of hammers. So the plan is to unpause, drop shield, throw all our hammers, as many as are needed, and he's overloaded now. So he's toast. But that's kind of what an enemy Eradicator is going to be like in combat, is they're going to use that loadout or one of the other ones. That default outdated loadout, I no longer have it in my lineup because I have replaced the auto fit with a bunch of my custom. Oh wait, no, I do still have the outdated loadout. Back before I knew how to manually refit ships, I would just use the outdated loadout because it's not terrible, and then maybe change it up a little, but you can hit outdated if you don't know what to do. However, we've just covered what to do if you want to build a safety overridden Eradicator. So that's kind of my little mini guide. I guess we should talk about trying to punch up on larger targets. We'll do one more fight. We have some time on the clock. So you've seen me, if you watch the series, you've seen me do this a lot, but a good thing to know how to do is how to take down an enemy capital ship. So the traditional way is to show people how to break an onslaught. So let's grab an onslaught with an officer and SMODs. Now, he's a 40 deployment point ship, right? We in our Eradicator are a 22-point ship. You probably aren't going to have good success toe-to-toeing him unless you can slip past him. I'll try and kill him alone, and then I'll show you how to break him with teammates, whether that works out or not. Remembering that I am not, by any means, the best Starsector player. I just happen to be the guy that makes videos. So what we want is, honestly, for him to burn drive. We need to get behind him somehow. And what kind of missiles does he have? He has Annihilator pods, so armor shredding. So screw it. We're going to use our shield to close. So obviously, we can't toe-to-toe him, right? We're going to try and drive 90 degrees to him and kind of spiral in. This will confirm whether or not we can actually solo an onslaught with this thing. Keep going, keep going. So we're almost behind him. That's what we want. So just drop the shield when it's hot, when it's full on flux, and then put it back up later. Come on, get me around him. So we've lost all of our front armor, but you'll note he is exposed. His shield is front locked. So we wait for the Devastators to fire, and then we throw hammers into his engines. And activate ammo feeder. Okay, he's gonna vent, that's fine. That lets us throw more hammers into his engines. If we flame out his engines, he's got nothing. And we can just crack him at our leisure. Make sure to put your shield back up before the explosion, otherwise you'll take sometimes a ton of damage doing that. Okay, I wasn't sure whether I could do that alone, but it worked out. It's a lot easier if you have a teammate. Here, we'll use a random legion this time. I actually want a specific legion. Do they have that fit available? Yeah, this guy. This will provide an additional lesson of challenge. So to do this, Legion is a 40-point ship. So let's say that we have an equivalent 40 points to build with. So let's take 2 brawlers, puts us to 32. Another brawler would put us to 38. So we'll take a lasher. That still leaves me at 35. So grab another brawler. So 3 brawlers, 1 lasher. How can we do this with an equivalent number of ships? Now, I chose this particular auto-fit for a reason on the Legion. This is the 5 Typhoon Reaper Launcher Legion. So if you try and frontally approach him, he will just destroy you with Reapers. And they can fire from the side pretty decently. So with this, it's a matter of getting behind him and of blocking both the fighters and his gun, and watching out for Reapers. I don't know if he's going to actually shoot the Reapers this time, but I wanted to give him the chance. But you see here how the Eradicator soaked up fire, and the Brawlers were able to get behind him. Hey, get back here. This is a funny thing that low-tech capitals will do sometimes, where they'll just kind of burn drive away. And there it worked, but he still suffers from the front-locked shield. If you're fighting against Pathers, you might want to try Omni Shields, or have a battle line that they can't break. But the basic plan with the Eradicator is you can alternate between absorbing hits for your smaller teammates, or if the enemy stops paying attention to you, you can loop around and go for kills. Let's see, we have 16 minutes on the clock, so I guess we'll do a full battle too while we're here. So some officers and some SMODs on opposing ships. So I am just going to deploy kind of my standard fleet of mostly Eradicators backed by Promethei and stuff, a very normal Pather comp. Then we're going to deploy for our opponents a random grouping of 240 ships, but not a modded capital this time. Okay, that should do. That gives them not a whole lot in the way of frigates, but plenty of firepower. So let's see if we can do this. How does the Eradicator perform when just being piloted? Oh, we turned quite a bit there, too much. So we're going to try and make our way to the edge of the battle. This right-hand side. I'm not going to give any orders to the team just yet. I like playing this overridden Eradicator because you can be very hands-off about it, just in range, because there's a lot of Piranha Bombers we want to watch out for. Ooh, they're doing really good. Let's actually, since this Dominator is so enamored with shooting our fellow Vanguard, let's get behind him. Dominators, for whatever reason, have felt particularly weak in this game version. Like, they're very easy to flank and spank like this. Just throw some hammers on him. Wait for ammo feeder to pop off cooldown again. There it is. But this basic doctrine... Oh, the other thing to note here is every ship that I have that can be safety overrided in this fleet is. So, the whole plan is to rush down, and every ship is going to try and pilot, kind of like you've been seeing me do my piloting. Very aggressively trying to flank, trying to immediately win a flux war and then turn that into a kill. And when I say flux war, I mean basically who can fill up the... If you can fill up your opponent's meter, your flux meter, faster, then you're winning a flux war, if that terminology makes sense. Ooh, Reaper. Finish him. This guy's kind of scary because he has 2 Reaper pods, and if properly played, he could flux me out. Or if he had proper support. But yeah, note how gracefully the AI piloted Eradicator is also just doing that same flanking maneuver. Getting in behind, forcing them to choose. And that's a wrap. Now, of course, is that an entirely fair fight? Well, no. I've tuned this fleet and played against enemies for a long time in this save. But no fight in Starsector is going to be entirely fair. In fact, most of them are in the player's favor once you have maximum level on your personal captain and a crew of maximally leveled officers. But enough of that. We have hit the timer mark, and I think I have rambled on and shown enough samples of what to do with this thing that hopefully it will be, or this video will be, of use to you. So, if you've enjoyed, please remember to like, subscribe, let me know in the comments what you think, and stay tuned for more. I am probably going to go right back into recording some more footage for the actual campaign run, which is where this footage recording is happening inside of. That's why we've only done this in the simulator. I'm on Iron Man, and the next thing I need to do is going to be pretty scary. So, I will catch you all in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have more ship questions or ideas for guides, I have a few more things I'm going to try and work on, but let me know in the comments, so if you have a new idea that I haven't thought of yet, that I can add it to the list. And I will catch you all next time. Back to the editing pits.